everyone. My name is Ronnie Mani, and I was born of goodly parents who, as first-time expecting parents, were filled with nervous excitement and full of huge hopes and dreams for their unborn baby girl. Unfortunately, all this excitement and joy very quickly turned to worry and fear as mom's early ultrasound spotted that I wasn't developing normally, and her doctors diagnosed that I would be born with a boatload of physical challenges. This would have been very devastating news for most of us parents, but it was particularly difficult for my parents to accept. Coming from a very rural village in India, where the common shared belief was if a child was born with a disability, they were being punished for sins from a past life, and that they would bring great shame and embarrassment to their family, and they wouldn't be able to be contributing members of society. My parents were under severe social pressure to abort me. Luckily, they did not share in this thinking and had the courage to escape the scrutiny of their friends and family and immigrate to the U.S., courtesy of mom's nursing scholarship. That's where it all kind of, that's where the magic of my childhood really began. They particularly strongly believed that people given challenges were particularly gifted and were considered special in the eyes of God. And, my saint of a father went as far as even saying the reason I was given a disability was because I was so perfect that if I wasn't given something to ground me and make me equal to those around me, I would be translated straight back to heaven, right? In a twinkle of an eye. So if you ever wonder why I scoot around here like I'm God's gift to man, we've got my dad to blame for that. The reality is, I was raised in a household where the common mantra was, many things are possible just as long as you don't know they're impossible. So you could imagine me in a full body cast being rotated like a pig in a luau so that I can see different spots of the hospital room and not go stir crazy. Watching with my dad, Christy Yamaguchi, winning her Olympic gold medal, and asking Dad, as if it was the most natural thing to ask, that the minute I get out of this cast, I wanted to sign up for skating lessons. And without missing a beat, he absolutely agreed, right? Because again, many things are possible just as long as you don't know they're impossible. The other thing is, they never gave me an out. I was expected to do chores. I was expected to carry my weight in every way. Complaining, whining, making excuses, simply not allowed. From there, we got to a point where I didn't even know I was disabled until practically I was 12. And the topic really only came up because I overheard my parents talking to the school, getting prepared for a school trip to Washington, D.C., just inquiring about accessible hotel rooms and transportation. But then, though I was really taught to be ridiculously curious and to dream without limits, once I left that perfection of childhood, the brainwashing and the hypnosis began. right? My very, very well-intentioned community of advisors cautioned me to be reasonable. Don't dream so big, or you'll certainly get crushed. Don't set your heart on marriage or children. That's just a surefire way of getting hurt and setting yourself up for a heartache, right? I know you want to go overseas and serve the poor and needy, but, third world countries are not handicap accessible, so why don't you make a monetary donation instead? I know you want to go and get your degree, but sprawling campuses can be so difficult to navigate. So why don't you get it online instead? I know you want to work for a global company and climb the corporate ladder, but you've got such a soothing voice. Why don't you go into telemarketing, right? And you could even do it from the comforts of your own home. So luckily, being my parents' daughter, I'm blessed with an exceptionally sassy and rebellious spirit, to the point where I would say I am hardwired to do completely the opposite of anything you tell me to do. So, don't get an education online. I left the comforts and safety of my family and friends in New Jersey and came all the way out to California on my own, earned my undergrad in psychology, and went on to get my master's in international business and corporate anthropology. Don't consider marriage or children. Well, my fantabulous husband and I are about to celebrate 26 years of marriage in December. And we are the proud parents of not one, but 4 extraordinary children who are literally my heart with arms and legs. Go into telemarketing. I am the CEO and the janitor of my line of business, namely employee advocacy, at, arguably the most recognizable brands on the planet, right? And we don't just sell software. We're defining the future of creativity. Donate money online instead of going overseas to serve. I was one of 10 volunteers who traveled across to Calcutta, India, to serve with who I would call the most revered humanitarians on the planet, in Mother Teresa. And, we thought we were there to do a 1-month tour of duty, to serve in her home for the sick and dying, and I was under the impression I was there to do some light fundraising and PR activities. So you could only imagine why my heart was beating outside my chest when on day 1 of orientation, she handed each of us a rag and pointed to a line of people wrapped around the building and told us to go help them die with dignity. At the age of 18, I had not the foggiest idea what dignity meant, let alone how to help someone die with it. So 3 days into that experience, my 9 other friends were long gone. What we were seeing and hearing was just way too overwhelming. It was just downright too much for the best of us, let alone a bunch of immature, inexperienced 18-year-olds. But as much as I wanted to flee with everyone else, I stayed. Not because I was any stronger or better, but because I knew my parents would not open the doors if I came home without finishing what I had committed to, right? And so A year later, I found myself begging to stay because I was convinced my life's calling was to be a nun, and I was going to follow in Mother's footsteps. Needless to say, 4 kids later, I'm no nun. And Mother chased me away and told me to come back and get as much education as possible, make as much money as possible. That's the best way for you to be the most useful to people around you. Your head and your heart are not mutually exclusive. They're attached to the same body. So all of these life experiences have taught me that the quality of your words and the quality of your thoughts, namely the stories you tell yourself and the stories you allow other people to tell you, absolutely determine the quality of your life. And so I'm pretty convinced that the Irish playwright George Bernard Shaw was thinking of people like me when he said, "The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in adapting the world to himself. Therefore, all progress rests on those who are unreasonable." So my impassioned plea to all of you, dare to be unreasonable. Thank you very much.